Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters.
Henry, thank you so much for having us into the Tornado Room. This is one of my favorite restaurants in all of Wisconsin. It's a place that I think a lot of people, when they come into Madison or they come back to Madison, make sure that they frequent, and it's an honor to be here today. So I think one of the questions that Warren's asking, like, walk me through an authentic supper club dining experience. Because I think it's something that as Wisconsinites, we hold sacred. Like that's our iconic old school dining culture.
Right.
But I'm really interested to hear from somebody who's a battle-tested veteran.
The reason I opened this place is because I could never find that place that I wished existed, that had everything, the ambiance, the service, and the quality of food. I always imagined the supper club being on like the edge of the lake, some little cabins, some neon sign, a little smoke coming from the top of it. And it's a uniquely Wisconsin thing. That's what I've always tried to emulate here. Like people, we're sort of on the little strip of Skid Row here in Madison. It's like the last little block that survived urban renewal, And so people look at the back door and they're like, well, this can't be the place. And they pull on this rickety old metal door and they come in and they go, oh yeah, look at this, you know. And I've tried to, it's sort of a time capsule in here, and I just try to make it look like it hasn't changed since it opened.
So if you were to come to the Tornado and you were dining, what's your cut of choice?
So I like the New York strip. I like a little fat and chewiness.
Yep.
I like steaks with bones, because I like, a little marrow, I like little gristle to chew on.
Yeah.
Because I'm a total carnivore.
Do you ever pick it up and
I have, I do that.
How do you cook the perfect steak?
Good question. Well, you need a couple things. You need a good heat source. You gotta have the right kind of seasoning. You gotta have a good product to cook.
Okay. Seasoning.
So it's I can't tell you exactly what it is.
Okay.
Because
it's proprietary,
trademark.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's everything that complements meat. It's nothing that takes away. Like with the steak, you kind of, if people just want that beefy steak, it's really all about the simple seasoning that doesn't overwhelm it or overpower it. And most people don't even know it's really there.
Right. Right now my mouth is actually watering, which means that, I got to do a better job eating before these shoots. But I'm actually selfishly very excited to taste a little bit of, what the Tornado Room is and has been and will be. So is it possible to get some food?
Sure.
Awesome.
You want to go back in the kitchen and check it out?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
I can feel it radiating out of here right now.
So it's a South Bend Magic Ray broiler, and it's probably from 1965 or something. So I've got a nice cut. It's a bone-in ribeye. We call it 28 ounces, but it's really 36 ounces.
Wow.
But if I said 36 on the menu, no one would order it. So I just like to season the top and the bottom.
Sure.
I don't do the sides.
Okay. Yeah.
I like to leave a little bit of, don't want to over season,
And this is your secret seasoning.
Yeah, and this creates a really nice crust.
Yep.
So you don't actually have to char the meat. You're really just charring the seasoning. It does char the meat a little bit, but you don't get that burnt taste.
Yeah.
And so this is like the hot part of it. It's gonna cook. I'm gonna get a lot of color on it, and then I'm gonna move it down here so a little cooler.
Yeah.
Slow roast down there for a little bit.
Nice. Do you rest steaks when you're done with them?
Well, they do. So all the steaks end up on a pan right here, and they sort of sit in the juices, and they kind of just sit there and until the waiters come and pick them up.
A well-rested
Yeah.
steak, though,
Yeah.
that's the hallmark
Yeah.
of a good steak. Something that's
Right.
had the opportunity to let those juices kind of re-amalgamate into the meat, which is a big word, but really it just kind of redistributes itself, and it
Yeah.
makes it delicious and beautiful and uniform.
This steak is definitely going to rest on that plate out in the dining room. It's going to take quite a while to eat that.
So happy, so happy, so happy. All right, what next?
Okay, I'm going to make a hash brown. So my secret to the hash brown is we parboil a potato.
Yep.
And they're still pretty hard in the middle. And then we grate them. We let them cool overnight so that gets all the starchiness out of them.
Sure.
So they don't get gluey.
Yep.
Now my thing about hash browns is they got to be kind of a little bit fluffy, you know, but still a little crunchy texture even on the inside.
Yep.
But a real thick crust on the outside. That's the key. Golden brown. So I use a clarified butter olive oil mix.
Yeah.
I get this thing smoking hot.
Yep.
I kind of loosely put that potato in there.
You are watching the technique of a master right now.
I loosely put that potato in there. I got to put a few chopped onions on top,
Nice.
and the salt and pepper seasoning.
Sure.
And we're just going to let that sit there like that.
Okay, so
That's-
it's developing the crust.
Yep.
So, quick question about steak temperature. Are there other steaks, for example, do you have a guide for like a cut? If you're gonna have a ribeye, do you like that more medium rare, or do you always like it on the rare side?
I think it's better more medium rare. So certain steaks have a lot of fat. This is a very fatty steak. You want to break down that fat to tenderize the meat. You don't want to chew on a big hunk of kind of cold raw fat.
Yeah.
You kind of got to cook this a little more than say a filet.
Sure.
Filet is very, kind of the fat molecules are a lot smaller in a filet. Not to say it's leaner, but it doesn't have the visible fat that a ribeye has. So filet, you can eat that like, sushi, and that's
Right.
great.
Right.
But this steak, you kind of want to cook it a little more, and a lower, slower and lower, so that it breaks down and works its way through, and you have a much less division between cooked and raw,
Sure.
like you might have on a filet.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put this guy down here, and we're just gonna let her marinate a little.
Slow and low.
Yeah, slow and low, and I can feel that, and
Yeah.
it's kind of rare still.
Kind of rare.
So I like to get a little feel for how brown this thing is.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to burn it, so it's getting close to flipping time. And-
All right.
Okay, ready, guys?
Are you ready? This is the money shot.
Money
you guys
shot.
ready for? Is this gonna go well?
I don't want it to be,
His mouth says yes. His eyes are laughing right now. Booyah! Got it.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
I don't know if we can get that.
That is good stuff. I'm so happy for you that you got that.
Yeah, it worked out pretty
Yeah. Awesome.
good. It worked out.
All you doubters can suck it. I knew he had it the whole time. I'm gonna go back in the dining room.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish up. Let
Okay.
these guys take over.
All right, I'll bring it out.
All right, sounds
Go,
good. Thanks,
go.
brother. I can hear it. Oh my God.
There you go.
Yes.
It's a little sizzling right now, so watch
Yeah.
out, it's a little hot.
Do you have any A1?
Yes, I
I'm
do.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah.
You played it well. This is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Man. The first thing that I'm struck by is the aroma. The spice rub and the beef itself really is perfuming the air. And the onion ring on top with that little bit of a fried onion, delicious sweetness thing is magic. I'm gonna lose it if I don't taste this thing soon. I think one of the issues with me on this one is gonna be taking small enough bites. That is perfect. Well rested, juices right back where they belong. That's beautiful. The seasoning, just like Henry said, complements the beef, so I don't get lost in like the salt and the pepper and the other accompanying spices that really give this thing flavor. It really just kind of acts as a way to reinforce that rich beefiness. The temperature is perfect. And I agree with him. With a ribeye or a steak like this, that little bit of chew and char makes all the difference. Personally, I like the gristle. I think that's the throwback to growing up poor. In our family, we ate the gristle. But even that's richly seasoned. The hash browns, I can already see by cutting into these things, the inside is nice and fluffy. You can see the steam coming off of them, they're nice and hot. The exterior is crispy, crunchy, holding its shape. I can't wait. The crunch is so rewarding on these things. It's so satisfying to eat. The interior is like eating a cloud, like a soft gnocchi, a little pillow of potato. I can see why, after tasting a plate like this restaurant has been so successful over the years. This is everything you want a supper club to be. Consistent, wonderful, simple, and elegant.
Lynita, and I help make wine, help clean, help get after people. That's my job.
My mom is an artist. She started everything. She went, let's do a specialty crop. I don't want to farm exactly the way my husband's doing it when I retire, because
Well, he told me he'd give me acreage. Well, what are you gonna do?
Yep. And we fell in love with grapes. This morning, we are going to be pressing off our Verona grapes. Verona is one of the newest hybrids. The Midwest is really trying to find a very heavy-duty red, basically. You want something very deep in color, very deep in flavor.
This is a classic farm-to-table type of product. The farm part starts years ago because the first 3 years, you don't have a harvest. The 4th year, you maybe have a half to 2/3. The 3rd year, we had enough to make like maybe 30 bottles. And the 4th year now, we're having enough, and I haven't done a dip in that tank, but there will be enough to make a little tank of Verona wine. And then the 5th year, we should be getting close to a regular harvest on it. So the farm-to-table aspect starts many years ago. A lot of these guys that are behind me helped plant these plants 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. They also have tended them for every year since then.
I'm Laura, and I help make wine. I help with a bit of everything as well. Dad was a cash crop farmer. We weren't going to be farmers, my brother and I. And my husband sure as heck wasn't going to be all crops or anything. He's got a degree in marketing and elementary education. It almost doesn't matter what your education is in if you are passionate about what you're doing. And as long as you care, you can make almost anything work, and you can sell it that way as well. Granted, when Dad put everything from the farm into the winery and into all the equipment and everything, he said, here's your inheritance. Don't screw it up. All you have to do is make good wine. There's a little bit more than just making good wine. It's a little bit more. Oh yeah, and grapes are coming over now. After we pumped out all the liquid, that's wine, we are now going to be pressing off these grapes so that we get as much liquid out as possible. And what Jan is doing here is he's sprinkling in rice hulls. Rice hulls are a complete tasteless component. It's completely inert. But if you were gonna take these grapes and just push in here, you'd get a lot in here, but then liquid would be trapped in the middle of this pumice that you have right here. So those rice hulls are creating basically straws from the inside of that pumice into the outside. The Verona grapes, we're going to be calling it Verona because it is, you know, at least 80% Verona itself, Verona wine itself. So this is a deep, heavy red. So it's running up into our press, and then this is what the free run wine is right now. So that's the stuff that's just plainly running out. It's a long-term investment wine.
What does it mean to be a Midwestern winemaker? What do we have to embrace about our wines that make us different, unique, special?
It's about representing the grape. And that's what we try to do. Make the grape shine.
45 years ago, when Napa was trying to get on the map, and they were, no one would give them the time of the day because they weren't French, you know? And you're just like, history does repeat itself, unfortunately. It's just a little bit behind the farm to table food. Mm-hmm. You know, that people still go to the really nice restaurants, say, is your meat locally sourced? Wonderful. And then they go, I want a California cab.
Yeah.
I want, you know, a Burgundy Pinot Noir. You know, I want all of this. And you're like, just, you know what? It's one time. Just try something new. So what we do, we elevator in all the grapes right into here. We level it out, and then there are several different slats in the side here, drains, if you will, that everything runs out of. And the liquid can naturally run out, and that is your most valuable, basically. It's your free run juice or your free run wine. So it's all running into this nice little tree, and then we slowly pump it out.
Lynita, where do you want this to go in 20 years? What do you, when people come to Elmaro, or when people see it in restaurants or in grocery stores, what do you want them to associate with it?
Family, that's important to associate with it. The beauty of the area, we want them to think that we make a quality product.
We wanted to create a place that people could, you know, hang out and be and enjoy themselves. Look around, you don't see any other buildings. It's not like you're going to, you know, stop here on your way to Target. You know, it's a destination place, and you have to treat it as such. And so they come out here and they sit and enjoy, or if the tables are full, they put a blanket out in the vineyard and they sit. And people actually slow down for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we don't get that anymore.
Okay, so what I want to do is I'd like to have you to talk me through a wine tasting.
Well, your wine, before you even put it in your mouth, will tell you a lot about it. So you check the color of it and the clarity of it. So your color is going to be, you know, almost light straw.
Yeah,
you know,
straw.
just off from colorless to a light yellow.
Yep.
To like a gold. The lighter yellow usually will tell you the younger the wine is. If it's gold, it's had more oxygen involved. Either it has aging or it's been intentionally oxidized.
Okay.
With reds, what's really nice is you can check the intensity of it.
Sure.
Those with whites and with like a rosé here, or this one's fruit cranberry, you don't have as much intensity. But when you look at its side and you try to read through it, you can see through the middle of it, you don't read through it nearly as much.
No.
If you look straight down.
Yeah.
But it gets less intense as it goes out.
Yeah.
So the thinner the wine, you know, and not being able to see through it, it'll be a much more intense wine. And whether it has more body or anything else, it's one more indicate what.
You have my wine.
I do. One of the first things too, though, you watch the coating of it and you watch its legs.
Yeah.
So the legs will tell you several different things. You can see that my wine's legs are a lot more intense than yours are.
Right.
You can see that yours barely clings to it, almost as appealing to water or
low viscosity.
Yes, low viscosity, and that'll tell you. It could tell you several things. Whether it's a less viscous wine, like grape itself, whether it's less sweet, or it has a lower amount of alcohol. You don't know which one it's going to tell you.
Okay.
But those are your indicators. Like if it has a lot of legs, you know it's probably not a lighter bodied wine.
Sure.
A lighter, easier Sauvignon Blanc style or anything.
Are we at the swirl?
You swirl, you throw your nose right in, and you take a regular length sniff, because when you take a very long sniff, there's nothing you're getting from that last half. And you pick apart. You're like, there's fruit here, but I don't know, I can't pinpoint it. There is, you know, and you go from, you go from that main category of fruity to, is it citrus, is it berry, is it tree fruit like apple, cherry, apricot? If you, citrus.
It's
Yes.
fun, isn't it?
Almost grapefruit.
Yes,
Like
almost grapefruit, almost a little hint of lemon. There's something, yes. The next part, if you're not quite sure, that's when you give that swirl, you smell it, and then you put it in your mouth. And you let it kind of coat your whole mouth, and you even trill. You suck in that little bit of air. And that'll pick up, it sounds cool, but it also picks up the backside of your nasal cavity.
Ooh.
Boy, when you do that, you really get the oak in the red.
Do you?
Oh yeah, big time.
And you can, and if you stop to take a minute to decide which places on your tongue feel what.
Yep, I love that.
Yeah, that you take a minute.
This is everything that Napa or Sonoma or the Finger Lakes aspire to be. I want to offer up a toast. Toast in the rain.
Toast in the rain.
How did you find your love for grapes?
So I used to be a competitive curler. I was international competitive curler and went to Worlds in 2000. So we went to Venice and Rome. When we went to these small mom and pop restaurants, a soda was extremely hard to come by. It was more expensive than wine, and ice was not readily available. So warm soda, who would ever drink that? So we drank wine. So Mom came back and started searching for wines like that.
So we started drinking red wine. That's what happened.
Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters.
The dairy farmers of Wisconsin are proud to underwrite Wisconsin Foodie and remind you that in Wisconsin, we dream in cheese. Just look for our badge. It's on everything we make.
At Organic Valley, our cows make milk with just a few simple ingredients: sun, soil, rain, and grass, and grass, and grass. Yeehaw! Organic Valley grass milk. Organic milk from 100% grass-fed cows.
Employee-owned New Glarus Brewing Company has been brewing and bottling beer for their friends only in Wisconsin since 1993. Just a short drive from Madison, come visit Swissconsin and see where your beer's made.
Wisconsin's great outdoors has something for everyone. Come for the adventure, stay for the memories. Go wild in Wisconsin. To build your adventure, visit dnr.wi.gov.
From production to processing, right down to our plates, there are over 15,000 employers in Wisconsin with career opportunities to fulfill your dreams and feed the world. Hungry for more? Shape your career with these companies and others at fabwisconsin.com. With additional support coming from The Conscious Carnivore. From local animal sourcing to on-site, high-quality butchering and packaging, The Conscious Carnivore can ensure organically raised, grass-fed, and healthy meats through its small group of local farmers. The Conscious Carnivore. Know your farmer, love your butcher. Additional support coming from the Viroqua Food Co-op, Central Wisconsin Craft Collective, Something Special from Wisconsin, Crossroads Collective, the La Crosse Distilling Company, as well as the Friends of PBS Wisconsin.